Hello, everyone. This is Jace LeJeune from Gridiron Football. I'm here with a special guest here on a really special episode of the Randall Corner that we have going on right now. And I have Coach Jamar Mitchell, who's actually a cornerbacks coach at St. Paul's, was at Tulane previously, and he's also was a great player back in the day, right? At Southern University as well. So, Coach Mitchell, appreciate you coming on board with me and talking a little bit about yourself and a little bit of some football in February.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. So let's just backtrack a little bit. I know this is you're right now you're at Covington. I mean, you're at St. Paul's High School in
hmm
Covington, Louisiana, but you've always been around the area, right? So you actually played
hmm
football at Mandeville High School. So really tell me about really that experience playing for the Skippers, and I know that was kind of the part of the heyday where the Skippers were really rolling at that point.
Right, right. Yeah, so I grew up around the program. I have an older brother named Jerry Mitchell that he played at the University of Arkansas. Was a DB, signed out of Mandeville High School. So he was 4 years older than me. So as a young kid and middle school and junior high, I just watched him grow, watched him flourish and stuff like that. And he kind of gave me the blueprint and stuff like that. And just growing up, you always want to be like your big brother. So I wanted to follow his footsteps, and obviously I had to be a DB too. Followed his footsteps to Mandeville High. Had a pretty good career and stuff like that. Played under a great coach, Guy LeComp. And he got to Mandeville in 2006, and kind of took the program, from the bottom and kind of, rose it up to what it is today. And while my brother was there, they made school history by going to the quarterfinals, and then when I came around, we made school history by going to the semifinals. My junior year and senior year went to back-to-back semifinals, the first time in school history. And then after that, I was blessed enough to sign a full scholarship to Southern University in Baton Rouge. Played there from 2013 to 2017. Had a good career. Was able to get all conference, HBCU All American. Went to two SWAC championships, won one. And then after that, I had a pro day, stuff like that. Had a couple of CFL tryouts. I had a tryout with the Saints and stuff like that. And then I ended up going to North Dakota, played a little arena ball. And after that point, just kind of thinking about what I wanted to do next. And I was blessed enough to get an opportunity to coach at my alma mater right out of college and stuff like that. And then, that's kind of how my coaching journey started. I actually started as a freshman football coach in 2018. And I tell people that's probably the funnest year I ever had coaching in my life was freshman football. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, for sure. And you play for two really good programs. And you talk about Coach Guy Comp and all the success he's had. And I know that you were part of some really good teams as two semifinal teams at Mandeville. So what was it just really about those specific teams? Y'all made a lot of history when you were over there. What was it really about what Coach Comp was doing and just those teams in general? What made y'all really stand out?
I mean, obviously we had talent, but you know, it was kind of like just the culture, the brand. Like you knew when you were coming in, to Manville High, what the expectations were, what the standard was. It was like I want to say in that era, like we knew who the older guys were. Coming from junior high, we were around a lot. We knew like who the Michael Maldys were and people
Hmm.
like that that we looked up to. We wanted to be like when we got to Mandeville, and they were very receptive and would mentor us and stuff like that. So we knew when we got to Mandeville High, what we had to live up to. And it all started with those guys. Like I said, 2006 on up to when I graduated in 2013, and we were very disciplined, well coached. Uh, we didn't have any discipline problems. We was a team. Everybody hung together, on and off the field. Uh, there was no drama going on. It was just kind of like, we didn't have the most talented teams, but every single year we knew we was gonna make a run. It didn't matter how many people we had returning or anything like that. So, just as I've gotten older and I look back on it, I was blessed to be a part of a college and high school program that was just ran legit. And everybody had a fair shot. Great coaches, the organization was outstanding. It was nobody was bigger than the team. Everybody had to wear the same stuff. It wasn't favoritism or being catered
Mhm.
towards anybody else. And everybody just bought in, man. It's not really about X's and O's. If your players buy in and they'll run through a brick wall for you, that's all that matters.
Yeah, you're right. It's a total buy-in. That's what football is all about, right? If one person's not bought in, I mean, the whole thing can go away. But
Right.
well, let's talk about you individually, Jamar. Now you were a great DB. You did play at Southern, and you played for a Division One, HBCU program. Now, what was like the recruiting process for you as a player coming out from high school? I know you were in the college ranks coaching, and you're back in the high school ranks and everything. So you're following how different it is now. But what was like the
hmm
recruiting process for you then?
Uh, the recruiting process back then, and I did have a more of advantage of other kids because my brother had went through the process before me.
Hmm.
So I had an advantage. My dad used to always tell us that, we had to look up the camps and stuff we wanted to go to on our own. He would give us any single opportunity, um, you know, that we presented to him, but we had to be mature enough to be like, hey, dad, this is what we really want to do. Some kids, they might not have the funding and the support and resources and stuff like that. I understand. Um, but we had to go out and do that on our own. Back then, you had to send emails. Like Twitter and stuff really just came about, but nobody
Hmm.
was posting offers. Nobody was posting, photo shoots and all that type of stuff. It was really just you had to send emails. The coaches came to your school. Somebody had to vouch for you. I mean, there wasn't really like the camps that we have now where you're getting footage and they send it to colleges.
Hmm.
It was more of like the newspaper, um, going and doing these things on college campuses in person, going to their camps. So for me, my dad made me make a list of all the colleges that I was interested in, or within, or essentially, I had a list of all the Division One, Division Two schools or whatever in the country, and I would send my highlight tape to them every single week, and I had a printed out list. And I would just send it out, man. Some people respond, some people wouldn't. They would send me camp invites. They would give me feedback. I would show up on people's campus, go to camps. I wasn't scared to compete, you know. And I ended up, signing with Southern University. They gave me an opportunity. They allowed me to sign on signing day without having the proper ACT score. So I
Hmm.
thank them for that, and Coach Dawson Otis for giving me an opportunity and still allowing me to sign without being a full qualifier yet. And that was pretty much, St. Tammany Parish didn't really, it wasn't really booming like that. Like
Hmm.
college coaches weren't really coming to St. Tammany Parish to recruit. We'd sign maybe one or two guys a year. And ultimately, I feel like it was a great decision for me, and it made me into the man I am today. But recruiting has definitely completely changed from when I was coming out of high school. We didn't have all these trainers and 7-on-7 teams and all this
Hmm.
type of stuff. It was just kind of like you played multiple sports, and you know, but it all starts with the individual person. You have to make it happen for yourself. If other people can help you, that's good, but you have to make the initiative on your own.
Yeah, so that part hasn't changed. I mean, you still have to still promote yourself. It's like getting a job, right? When you're trying to promote
hmm
yourself to colleges, like not only on the field, but all the other aspects. There's nothing more than just, oh, you're a good football player on the field. There's other stuff you have to do in order to get where you want to be. But now, when you talk about Southern and you talk about Coach Ohms giving you the opportunity, and you all have had a lot of really good success at Southern. And what was just the most enjoyable experience about playing at Southern? And if you go back and do it all over again, wish you're going back and still sign with the Southern Jaguars in the end.
Yeah, I mean, we I mean, we were very good every single year. You know, Coach Odoms came in 2000. Well, he was an interim in 2012. 2013, he got the full-time job, and he just turned it into like back into a powerhouse.
Hmm.
They had a couple down years, and he just came in there, man, zero tolerance. You know, everybody was held to the same standard. You know, I mean, it was just very militant. Um, but everybody like a lot of people bought in, a lot of people didn't. I signed with like 28 people, only 10 of us made it through.
Hmm.
On when we did senior day. But some guys just didn't want to buy in. He wanted you to do right on and off the field, and it paid off for the people that end up making it through the whole time. Uh, but for me, I think redshirting as a freshman was the best thing for me, getting bigger, stronger, faster. I never really, uh, once you get in a college weight room and all that type of stuff, your body has to transform. High school, you're playing multiple sports, you're not really gaining weight. It's a big factor. So I think me redshirting my freshman year, 2013, was really big for me, for my development. Then being able to like see, okay, the size of these guys. It's not like high school. Everybody in college was the best on their high school team. So you got to get back in the lab and really evaluate yourself. And now that I've been on a college level coaching and recruiting, I always tell people I see why I went to the FCS level
Hmm.
based off of like if I did an evaluation on myself when I was in high school, I can see why. Because I
Hmm.
see some of these dudes right now that are coming out of high school and
Yeah.
I wasn't on their level. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So um you have to be honest with yourself and we end up having some great seasons at Southern. We went over 500 every single year.
Hmm.
The Bayou Classic would always determine who would represent the West in the SWAC. So, and my one of my good buddies and my roommate Danny Johnson played corner opposite of me.
Yeah.
He's playing for the Washington Commanders. I think it's his
Hmm.
sixth year in the NFL. A lot of things he did for me was life changing, and I pretty much just followed what he did, his work ethic, getting extra work in. I had trainers in Baton Rouge. When I would come home, I had trainers in Mandeville. So I was always getting work in. Um, a lot of people don't know I had the injury bug for 2 years.
Hmm.
And my proudest moment is that, I missed half the season my sophomore and junior year in college. I pulled both my hamstrings back to back years, and I still made all conference. My senior year was the only year I was able to play a full healthy season, and I was really able to display my talents and abilities and stuff like that. So, uh, when I'm talking to kids and mentoring kids, like you can't take any of that for granted, and you gotta just take advantage of all the opportunities that you have because I was a person that missed half the season and still was able to make all conference. So it's just once you're out there on the gridiron, your opponents are gonna respect you regardless of how many games you played or when they watch the film, it has to be undeniable. So
Yeah, you talked about a lot about your experience, and it's different now, right? Because you talk about redshirting. I know you mentioned that
mhm.
too. And nowadays, in this world of NIL and the transfer portal, and like if players aren't satisfied by playing their first year, they immediately leave ship and they go somewhere else. But you stayed the course, right? And you redshirted, and then you went through your whole college career at Southern, and you ended up having yourself a great career. I mean, in 2017 with HBCU All American, All Conference in 2017. So, why do you feel like nowadays that kids should like wait the course because there's a reason why you like even you're a 5 star. Sometimes it doesn't
Yeah.
it's not meant for you to start day one. Why they should wait the course and reap the benefits of really sitting and maybe learning.
I mean, I just think it benefits you later on in life. At the end of the day, you got to compete at all costs. For whether it's on the football field, it's for a job in the classroom, whatever the case may be. So like I tell kids if you legitimately don't like the school that you're at, the location, all that, I understand. But football wise, like I had 4 different position coaches in college. I had a different DB coach every single year, which I didn't understand it back then, but now it's essentially a stepping stone job. You know, position coaches want to be coordinators, coordinators want to be head coaches. I had 2 different defensive coordinators. So, you know, it's a revolving door, but you have to take a little bit from each coach that you encounter with and add it to your toolbox. And if you're, and I was blessed to have the same head coach, but if you are who you say you are, you should be playing under anybody. It doesn't matter who's the coach, you know. And for me, especially Southern being an FCS school, we would get junior college guys, we would get FBS transfers. I didn't care who was coming in. Like, I just felt like me and Danny were the best too. Like, I genuinely believe that. So, like, we would hear the rumors, we'd see the signing classes. Like, it didn't matter. They brought in guys from LSU, they brought in guys from everywhere, and both of us were able to get past that, you know. And then with me having the injury bug for 2 years, and it was unfortunate that, you know, I heard it in fall camp both times. So that's a huge opportunity and also a huge loss, because that's really when you win your job. You know, you kind of make a name for yourself in spring ball, but ultimately you have to win your job in fall camp where it really matters. Okay. Because guys that have a great spring, but they don't do well in fall camp.
Yeah.
And for me, I would win my job in the spring, and then every time I would get to fall camp, I would have an injury. So for me, I couldn't really justify that I was the man for the job when I never really started in a real game as a sophomore. And it hurt me because, you know, I was like, man, I'm the starter, but I had never proved myself in a real game. You know, so now the second time I got hurt, I had already proven myself when I came back in a real game as a sophomore. So, like, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, you're the guy, because I had proven myself. But, you know, no matter where you go, you have to compete. And people just think that, okay, I'm transferring from Alabama to wherever smaller school. Like, you still got to compete. Those guys aren't sorry. You know, they might have more, the quantity might be more, the talent at the bigger school, but smaller schools have talent too. So I just think that, you know, it's not, I just hate to see kids make mistakes about transferring, man. Now, if you're a senior and it's your last year, you're not going to get no playing time. The coach has a legitimate conversation with you, but you got to fight through adversity, man. And people, they want extraordinary results, but they're doing ordinary things. Like, it doesn't work like that, you know? And you see it, man, in the high school level, kids don't play, they don't want to transfer. It's going to catch up with you one day, man. Like, you just got to compete. If you're not the best guy for the job, you're not the best, just keep getting better. You know, I never thought about transferring. I really didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just that mindset. I mean, like, you know, pressure, you know, makes diamonds, right? So you
Yeah.
gotta be really good at what you can do. You gotta strive to
Mentally
do it,
tough.
continue to do it, mentally tough. Not only physically, but mentally tough for sure. Before we move on and talk about your coaching days, and I know you're still coaching right now. Uh, if somebody had to ask you, you know, if some of your players that you train and mentor, they go ask, what kind of player was Jamar Mitchell? What would your response be?
Uh, you know, I was very, like, confident. You know, I was confident, but I was humble at the same time. I You always hear about people saying, like, for an example, like, they jump routes and stuff like that. To me, that's guessing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm big on anticipation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what's about to happen before it happens. So, like, I'm not really a betting guy. You know, like, I like to play it safe. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, I wasn't much of a vocal leader. I feel like I was a leader based on the field and off the field. All my teammates at every single level have loved me. I was an energetic, funny guy. I had different groups of friends and stuff like that. I wasn't a vocal leader. You know, I don't know. I don't think that was just really me. I feel like, um, you know, I just didn't really want that target. And I thought that that was more of the coach's job, you know. Um, and your peers and stuff, you know, they're gonna listen to certain people. I've seen kids that try to be a vocal leader, but like you also have to have the respect of your teammates and stuff like that first
Mhm.
before you try and play that role. And you can't be a hypocrite, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, man, I didn't really talk trash or anything. Like that wasn't really my personality. I just go out there and just play. Like
Mhm.
and I even at the college level give respect to your opponents. At the end of the game, they'll give respect to you if they thought you were a good player. And, you know, really the guys that would talk, and if you didn't respond, it would hurt them worse because they'd be
Mhm.
confused on why you're not talking back. So, I mean, I was just an ordinary guy. Like, I mean, I worked hard. I've had some great mentors. I feel like I had an advantage. Um, and I would just put work in, man. I had my breaks throughout college, and you know you have your different Christmas breaks and your months off in between semesters. I would just come home and put work in. Some guys would go on vacation and stuff like that. I feel like that was the separation. Even when I was at school, I had a trainer named Ken Anyo,
Mhm.
and he runs F3 Elite
Mhm.
Organization, 707 team in Baton Rouge. And me and Danny Johnson would drive to Zachary 2 days a week to go train with him in the sand pit and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So it's like it's a lot of unknowns out there. You see what I'm saying? So, um, but yeah, I don't. Even as a coach, I don't do all that. Like my guys, they're gonna produce on the field regardless. So there's no reason to tweet and do all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and obviously you tried going to the professional route after your Southern days, but I think at some point coaching was calling your name, right, and
Right.
you decided to take the coaching route, and just from your experience as as a high school star and as a All American type guy at Southern, what were some things you took away from your playing experiences that really helped? I guess like the transition a little bit smoother for you, uh, or I guess more smoother than maybe somebody that hasn't really played at that
Yeah.
level.
Well, for me, like growing up, and it's crazy because my mom still has this stuff. I used to draw plays and stuff like
Mhm.
in a like a little notebook and stuff like that. Because I was real big into like video games, and also I was a little league quarterback. So like
Mhm.
my mom still has the little binders and notebooks of me drawing up plays and stuff like that. So I always had like the coaching aspect, but once I finished playing, you never kind of like want to you never really want to look like ahead and it's like, dang, what if this doesn't work?
Mhm.
What am I going to do next? And I was fortunate enough to, we had got a new coach at the high school, and I was home. I was still training and stuff like that. And I kept seeing some of my former coaches in the area and stuff like that. I was like, man, you ever thought about coaching? And I was like, I mean, I'm still trying to play, waiting on the opportunity and stuff like that. I had just got home from North Dakota, and I kept seeing them and stuff like that, and kept reaching out. I was like, man, we need a freshman coach. And I was like, man, I'm not trying to deal with these kids. I'm
Mhm.
really not. They're not gonna listen, and
Mhm.
they don't even really know me because they're so much younger. Like I don't think the kids really they don't really know their forefathers and the people that came before them like kids used to when I was growing up.
Mhm.
And I ended up going out there, man, one day, and I never thought about playing football again after that.
Mhm.
I was strictly in coach mode. Like I just had so much fun because the information I had received my whole life growing up, still that in the kids that one day, and I saw a major like impact. And the
Right.
kids liked me. And
Mhm.
like my teaching philosophy, my strategy, I was hard on them, but I loved them up too. So I was
Mhm.
like, man, I mean, I can do this. So I went through the whole freshman season. We had a good year. And then Coach Eric Rabato, who's the defensive coordinator at St. Paul's now, he used to be the head coach at Holy Cross. He
Okay.
had just came over to Mandeville as a defensive coordinator that year. And he saw, a good job I did. He's like, hey man, like, would you, like, helping with the DBs in the spring?
Mhm.
He was like, I think you can make a career out of this. And I was like, sure. I mean, I don't really have nothing else to do, so I'll help out. And then him and Coach Hutch Gonzalez helped me like with the
Mhm.
teaching and the certification route because I didn't get my degree in education when I was in
Sure.
college. So I had to take an alternate route. And then we had 2 good years. We had back to back quarterfinals, all four of my corners got college opportunities. So that's kind of how I started out.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've had some great mentors, and I just take what they taught me and add my own little sauce to it,
Mhm.
and instill it in my players and the kids that I train and mentor and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I know we were limited on time, and we got probably about 10 more minutes left, but just one or two more questions before we wrap up. But
Mhm,
I know you've gotten really good stops, and you went back to Mandeville, like you said, coaching the freshmen, and coaching DBs, working way up back, and then you went back to the college route, Benedict College, and you actually also at Mississippi State too, as a
mhm,
recruiting specialist, and then went up to Tulane most recently before you came back and to the high school level at St. Paul's
mhm,
currently at right now. But
mhm.
what are some of the similarities, the differences from being around high school and being around the college level, coaching at those two different levels?
Uh, I think high school is a little bit more pure,
Hmm.
as far as like the kids really don't know. This is like a crucial part of their development before they get into the real world.
Hmm.
So like you're really having to mentor. A lot of the dudes that come to college are already naturally talented. They might have already been taught. So like you're kind of just like refining what they do. But high school, you're starting from ground zero. Like they
Hmm.
don't know anything. They don't know how to backpedal. They don't know how to get in the stands. They don't know coverages. So for me, going to the college level was kind of like easier as far as
Hmm.
like, you have the best of the best as far as
Sure.
coaching.
Hmm.
It's just more of like, scheme, schematics, X's and
Hmm.
O's, recruiting, stuff like that. But um, you know, I can give kids a good range of like where they stack up. I can
Hmm.
give them experiences of like, if this is really what you want to do, I can give you an example of some guys that's going through this right now, and I can give you firsthand like knowledge on what it's going to take in the path and all that type of stuff. So that's why I wanted to come back in the community, and just help kids that want to take the same route that I was able to take, and just give them a little bit more guidance, because a lot of people really don't know. Their parents might have not played or coached or anything, and they just don't know. They don't know about camps. They don't know about combines and
Hmm.
showcases. They think, oh well, my high school coach is going to give me an offer, or
Hmm.
I'm just going to show up on Friday nights. No, like you have to go out all across the country. Like my dad would take us to camps everywhere, you
Hmm.
know? So, and it was like, when you get on that campus, you have to make an impression. When you're catching the ball, you get a 5 yard burst after you're catching. If you're a DB and a receiver does catch a ball on you, are you tagging him off, letting the coach know, hey, I still would have made the tackle? Like
Hmm.
little things like that to catch, it's effort, man.
Yeah.
Literally just effort. So, and that's what I want to come back in the community and do. And I know it'll be a huge impact for St. Paul's and stuff like that.
And I know you love going back to your roots, right? Helping the high school kids and helping them grow,
Mm-hmm.
especially at a position that you excelled at. And, you've been around like great players, like you mentioned, Danny Johnson, and, he's
Mm-hmm.
doing this thing right now with the Commanders. And those are things you can go back and teach the kids some of the techniques that
Mm-hmm.
y'all learned, whether you were at Mandeville or at Southern.
Yeah.
But do you have a desire to go back to the college level, or do you feel like that you can see yourself at the high school level?
With the transfer portal and NIL right now, I'm gonna let that play out for a couple
Sure.
more years and see what happens with it. My girlfriend is also, that works in college athletics, so this is this is kind of like a joint decision for us and stuff like that. But you know, it just feels good being home, man, because it's not an area where like a Baton Rouge or New Orleans, where there's facilities on every corner.
Mhm.
There's guys that played in college or big time alumni that they're in the area. It's not a metropolitan area, so it's just like I just hate that kids would think that they don't have anywhere to turn to.
Mhm.
And there's no 7-on-7 teams around here.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I kind of want to get into for the next spring, possibly start a team and stuff like that. And just give kids on the North Shore an opportunity because there is talent, man. There
Oh yeah.
really is. We don't really get the exposure. We're not sending out multiple Power 5 kids a year, but I feel like when our teams play South Shore teams, like we go, you know,
Mm-hmm.
tick for tack,
Right.
So something I want to do in the community. I know Gridiron, is really probably one of the only camps that I know of that does something in St. Tammany Parish.
Mm-hmm.
So if kids don't take opportunity to this, if you can't take an opportunity and initiative to do this, then I can't expect you to go drive 4 or 5 hours to a camp because there's none in New Orleans. I mean, they're all out of state. So
Mm-hmm.
you just don't want to play. Like
Right.
you can't complain about you're not getting any exposure or notoriety or any attention, but you're not taking the necessary steps to achieve that.
Right.
So
Right.
a lot of this camp on March 2nd is in a lot of kids' backyards.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know, so it's just like, what's important? Like, do you have other plans, or they need to be canceled? Like that's just what it is. If you really want to play football, and the question I ask kids all the time: is there a certain like region that you would only play in, or
Mm-hmm.
like what? If you had a choice, where would you go play college at? The answer should be I'll go play anywhere in the country. If you really want to play college football, it shouldn't be like, oh, I want to play somewhere in Florida, or I want to be where it's sunny. Like
Mm-hmm.
either you want to play football or not. You got to take the opportunities that are presented to you and worry about your recruitment and the people that want and need you, not looking at what somebody, another recruiter, another athlete has.
Yeah, and you mentioned it about the camp, and I know I appreciate you coming on board with us. I know you're going to be helping us with the camp next
Mm-hmm.
Saturday on March 2nd. It's going to be at Covington High School, and really any players that all the way from seventh graders all the way up to the class of 2025 that wants to be a part of it. They can go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com, or also contact Coach Mitchell as well, because I know that you're going to be helping us and with the camp as well. So I know you're going to be helping with the DBs when you're coming up at the camp next week. For those players that are coming to this camp next week, what are some things that you want to tell them, or where you think those kids will be learning from you when they get to the camp next weekend?
Um, I think that they'll get an opportunity to like see some realistic things that when they go to college camps over the summer, hey, these are some of the drills, the techniques, and stuff like that that's going to be demonstrated. So like really, this is like a head start for in a prep for the camps they go to over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So not, your high school, DB coach, whatever, they might have you doing different things or whatever, different techniques and stuff like that. But when you go to these colleges, you have to adapt and overcome,
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in situations where like college coaches, they want to see these specific things, especially like, okay, out of DBs, like, can you backpedal? Can you backpedal open and run? Can you press? Are you a guy that only can press? But maybe they want to see you play off coverage. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to know how to do all of this, like because you don't want to be labeled as just a scheme fit. Like, oh, he can only play in this defense.
Mm-hmm.
And just any recruiting questions or concerns they have for me,
Sure.
I'm always open to it. As far as what camps do I think they should go to, what showcases, what combines, and then just get opportunity to get coached hard, and maybe some situations they hadn't been in before. Not trying to change anything that their high school coach is telling them to do, but this is just if you show up to any camp or combine showcase, college camp, like you're gonna have to do some things you've never done before, and I guarantee you, the DBs that's gonna be there, you're gonna be prepared when you go to your college camp. So and it's all things that Nick Saban said it best that nobody just really like invented anything. In football, everybody took something from somebody or learned something from somebody. So
Mm,
all I'm doing is passing on the information that I learned from other people
yeah.
at the high school, college level, professionally, and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a good workout. They're gonna get their money's worth. So that's not a problem.
Well, absolutely. It's going to be a really fun camp. You're going to learn a whole lot. Players get a chance to learn under guys like Jamar Mitchell and all of our guys that are helping out with the camp. And each kid will get a chance to be interviewed. Will be a chance to get in our magazine, and of course, our top performers will get some swag from us that they get to bring home with them. And the top 2025 prospects are at the camp. Will get a chance to be evaluated and maybe get an invite to the bowl game or Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game at the end of the year. So wrapping up really quickly, Jamar, anything that you want to plug real quickly for you? I know you train a lot of guys on the side as well. So anything coming up that you like to plug real quick?
Um, no, just I just hope the kids, man, they just take advantage of this off season. Um, the spring ball's coming faster than you think, you know,
Hmm.
and the football season ended in December. So if
Yep.
guys aren't playing other sports or anything like that, it's like, what have you been doing?
Right.
Like it's not like back then where I had to receive an email to know if I got invited to a camp, or they had to mail something to my high school coach and he had to give
Mhm.
it to me in football PE. Like the access now, like you can DM these guys, you can try and get camp invites, they can send it to you over social media. I mean, there's all these different websites and just social media. There's no excuse to not know
Mhm.
about anything,
Absolutely.
and if any of the camps that I mean, any of the kids that come to Gridiron have any questions or concerns or anything about recruitment and stuff like that, I'll be happy to share and all that type of stuff. That stuff just makes me feel good, especially helping out the kids where I come from,
Absolutely,
So
coach. Absolutely. I appreciate your time, coach. Looking forward to seeing you at the camp next Saturday. And looking forward for a fun event. If you want more information to how to enroll in this camp, make sure to go gridironfootballusa.com.